Hello, Gavin. How are you? Good. It's all boys today. It's okay. It's all right sometimes. So I want to talk to you about a couple of things really quick. I forgot one thing I want to say about Youth Sunday. If you haven't done this before, or maybe if you haven't, forget what it is. Basically, we invite the children to lead worship. All the parts that UC Bruce and I do, the children do. And so it helps them to become more fully a part of the community and to be involved in leading praise. We know of God, and we know that they can do that because Scripture tells us that they can do that. We will guide them and help them, but we will have a very normal worship service just led by children. So everybody here has the ability to do different parts of that, even if we modify it to some degree. But I want everyone to know what that is, and all ages of children are welcome to be in that. Now, there's one other thing I want to talk to you about. Today, we're talking again about, this is one of those times where I use a thing called the lectionary. It's a big word, but it kind of tells me what to preach on each Sunday, or at least what the sermons are to read. And then we kind of get inspired and read what other people wrote about those scriptures out of the Bible to talk about. This Sunday, it's the story of Thomas again, just like last Sunday. So in the story, Jesus comes back to life after Easter and appears in this room in front of his friends, really, and one of them's not there. He went somewhere, I don't know, maybe to Turkey Hill to get something, but it was just that kind of thing. He just went out. It doesn't really say why he wasn't there. It doesn't make a big deal that he wasn't there. He just wasn't there. Just like you might miss something exciting in your life, and then can't believe you missed it. So he came back, and a week later Jesus shows up again. That's all we're really told about it. And he didn't believe that Jesus came back. I can't blame him. For a lot of years, people in church have kind of made fun of Thomas and called him the doubter, and as if that's a bad thing. But, you know, I got to be honest. If my friends told me that one of my friends came back to life and they just saw him after I watched him die, I would be a little skeptical. And I'll be honest, in my life, even though I'm a pastor, I've doubted some things about God. So I can't really judge Thomas for that. But I'm curious about how we learn to believe things that we don't see. Because none of us will be able to do what those disciples did in the way they did. They stood in their room and they touched him. The scripture today tells us he even ate with them. Like he was hungry when he showed up and asked them if they had anything to eat. The other thing you'll see, some people will tell you about scripture, and it's kind of funny. If you look at a lot of Jesus' stories, he comes across as a bit of a moocher. He shows up at people's houses, asks to be fed, gets treated like a guest of honor, and then leaves. Like, he does that a lot, you know? He never is cooking for anybody else, except for one or two times on the shore. But he just kind of shows up at your house and eats your food, and then all of a sudden gets all the attention. That's Jesus, you know? It's like a little bit of a rock star. But Thomas believed, or the others believed who haven't seen. That's how the scripture ends. Blessed are those who believe though they haven't seen. Can you see, let's see, how do I say this? Do you remember a time when your parents told you to not touch the stove? You may not remember that, but do you? Or have you seen someone say to a child, don't touch the stove? Why wouldn't you touch the stove? Why do they tell you not to touch the stove? You might burn your hand, right? But there's nothing like, depending on the kind of stove you have. I had an electric one as a kid. There's no flame shooting out of that stove. There's nothing to see. I trusted my mom to not touch the stove. I might have been that one kid who didn't touch it when they said to touch it, and learned by listening, because I trusted my mom or my dad to say, don't touch the stove, even though you really hadn't experienced it for yourself. Now, just like Thomas touched Jesus' scars on his hands, touching helps. Like once you touch the stove and learn it's hot, you probably won't do it again. But a lot of kids, it's not so hard just believing without seeing things, because a lot of people just never get burned by a stove. I don't know that I have.
I didn't get burned by a stove. I got burned by a hairdryer.
By a hairdryer. Yes, those are dangerous too, and so are curling irons. As a matter of fact, that's the one thing I did not believe my mom on many times. The curling iron's
I
hot,
got cut by a razor.
and you, well, oh, we might get your poor mother. But things happen, bad things happen. But there are things, it's not really so hard. You know, people sometimes look at Christians as if we're crazy because we believe in something we can't see in front of us. But they do it all the time. They don't touch the stove because somebody told them it was hot. Or they know it's going to rain tomorrow because they believe the weatherman has seen something that they haven't, or knows some knowledge they don't. And so people saw Jesus. They saw him come back to life. And that story has been told and passed on to us. So we believe them, just like we believe our parents when the stove was hot, but for different reasons. So sometime in your life, somebody's going to call you crazy for being a Christian. That's okay. It's okay. You're not crazy. You believe in something that people have told you that you trust. Just like not touching the stove. It's really not as complicated as people make it. Let's say a prayer. Good and gracious God, we thank you for those in our lives who have proven faith. For those who have shown us things about you that we could not discover on our own. So often these things are shown to us in the faith and acceptance of you and children. They believe the stories we tell them because they trust in us. Help us to continue to be good stewards of your community of faith, to continue to be good leaders and examples for these children, that they might know and trust and believe in you, because they know and trust and believe in us. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Time for dream.